Next, we've got the Levite and his concubine and civil war with the Benjaminites. This story begins with one last picture of a couple with a loving father. One last nod back at Eden. This time it's the Levite, the concubine, and her father. But there are all sorts of signs from the beginning that things are not right. First off, this woman is not a wife. She's a concubine. Anyone care to hazard a guess as to what that means? A mistress.
More like a slave mistress.
More like a slave mistress. Yeah, there's a couple of things it can mean.
Man, where'd I get one of those?
But really, that's pretty much what it is. That really is. All right, so concubine. It can simply mean mistress or live-in girlfriend. Usually in the ancient world it means something a little more than that. It means a wife from the lower classes, usually a servant or a slave, someone that where the two families didn't enter into an agreement with each other. This is more of a situation where the woman is desperately in need of a male protector and hooks up with the man. Again, the women in this time period, they don't have, I mean, we'll see this even in Ruth, but the women in this time period, they don't have property rights. They don't have any opportunity to work. They need protectors. That's simply a given for this part of history. So, let's see. So, in Judges then, a concubine is a wife who's a servant or slave. Her children have no right of inheritance. It's a degrading form of marriage, where she has even fewer rights than she would have otherwise. At the beginning of the story, the concubine leaves the Levite and goes home to her father. Why? Presumably the Levite's been mistreating her. The Levite comes, speaking kind words, hoping to win back his concubine. Her father is extravagantly generous to him. He gives the Levite food, drink, begs him to stay. Stay another night, stay another night. But against the father's pleading, the couple leaves on the evening of the 5th day. Why does this matter? Well, in the creation story in Genesis, it's on the 6th day that God creates human beings in his own image. Here, the man and the woman leave the loving Father on the 5th day. Still unredeemed, still unchanged. That's the symbolism that's going on here. And just in case we need any more symbolism, where do they leave? They leave Bethlehem, the place where God will become man and will renew the image of God in man. The couple leaves Bethlehem and goes to Gibeah for the night. This is worth pointing out. In Bethlehem, the father shows extravagant hospitality. In Gibeah, the people show no hospitality, and the couple is left sitting out in the cold square. Bethlehem is the hometown of King David. Gibeah is the hometown of Saul, King Saul. And remember that the book of Judges cares a lot about showing that David, not Saul, is God's chosen king. So none of those mean Benjaminites in Gibeah will help them out. So finally a man from the tribe of Ephraim puts the couple up for the night. But the men of Gibeah come and pound on the door and say, "Bring out the man that we may know him." The owner of the house says, "Do not do such a wicked thing. Behold, I have a virgin daughter, and this man has a concubine. Take them instead." Just in case we need an illustration of how far these people have fallen and how low they value women. You're right. This is an exact replay of Sodom and Gomorrah here, or Sodom specifically, and we are meant to recognize it. So, the men of Gibeah don't listen. They keep pounding on the door. The Israelites have fallen as low as the people of Sodom did back in the book of Genesis. They're just like the Canaanites now. In fact, they're even worse, because of what happens next. The Levite throws his concubine out the front door and bolts it. The men abuse her all night, and in the morning the Levite opens the door, looks down at her on the doorstep and says, "Get up, it's time to go." She's dead. It's stomach-turning. The Levite's lack of compassion is ridiculous. He doesn't seem sad. He's not even horror-stricken or guilt-stricken. He's just angry. He wants revenge. His woman's dead. His property's gone. He covers up his part in her demise, hacks her body into 12 pieces, and sends a piece to each tribe with the message, "The men of Gibeah must be punished." The other 11 tribes agree. They ask the people of Gibeah to bring out the men who committed this horrible crime that they may face capital punishment. But the city of Gibeah will not give up the attackers. The 11 tribes consult with Phinehas, the high priest. We've seen Phinehas before. He's the grandson of Aaron. Aaron begat Eleazar, begat Phinehas. Phinehas is now the keeper of the Ark of the Covenant. He's an old man. We last saw him as a young man in the book of Numbers. The 11 tribes ask him for God's will, and they are told that the Lord will bring defeat upon the tribe of Benjamin. That, like Sodom, Benjamin is ready to be destroyed. They've brought it upon themselves, and thus the civil war begins. The body count is high on all sides. The sin of one tribe leads to suffering for all the tribes. But on the third day, Gibeah is conquered. The city goes up in flames like Sodom, and the tribe of Benjamin is killed, all except for 600 men who take to the hills. At that point, the Israelites decide that they feel sorry for them. They say, "Do we really want a whole tribe to die?" So they completely change course. Now, instead of punishing the men of Gibeah, they want to find women for these 600 men so that the tribe of Benjamin will not die out. Problem is, the Israelites made some stupid vows before they went into battle, just like Jephthah did a few chapters back. They promised that none of them would ever give their daughters in marriage to the tribe of Benjamin. So, they think and think and think about how to find wives for the tribe of Benjamin without breaking their vow. And they find a brilliant legal loophole. What if they kidnap them? It just goes from bad to worse. So, who are they going to kidnap? Well, they made another really stupid vow, and that was to punish any tribe that did not send people into battle against the Benjaminites. And they start asking around, and well, every tribe sent people into battle, but there's one city that didn't send anyone into the battle, and that's Jabesh Gilead. So, the Israelites attack their own people, Jabesh Gilead. They kill everyone except the virgin girls, and they give the girls to the men of Benjamin for their wives. Problem solved. Oh, there were only 400 girls for the 600 men of Benjamin. That's not going to do. The men of Benjamin still need 200 more wives. So this time the men of Benjamin kidnap them with the blessing of all Israel. Where do they do it? They attack a religious festival in Shiloh, home of the Ark of the Covenant. And they take 200 more girls that are dancing and as part of a religious ceremony. Problem solved. What began as justice for a brutal attack leads to a far, far greater injustice. Israel has hit rock bottom. Violence against women is rampant. Civil war is happening continually. Countless families have been destroyed. And God has been rejected. Where is God in this last part of the story? Nowhere. Israel has rejected him as their king. The book of Judges ends with this dry observation. In those days, there was no king in Israel. Every man did what was right in his own eyes. This line is repeated several times during the epilogue. What does it mean? In those days, there was no king in Israel. Well, the author is looking forward to the monarchy, to better days. The next book in the biblical history is 1 Samuel, where the prophet Samuel anoints Saul and David king. The kings of Israel put an end to the problem of anarchy, But the author realizes that anarchy is only part of the problem. The bigger problem is sin. Every man did what was right in his own eyes. Relativism reigned supreme. Instead of following God, people followed their individual preferences. They said, I'll live the way the people around me live. I'll live the way the Canaanites live. I'll live the way society says is right. Or I'll live my life the way I want to, and you live your life the way you want to. It didn't work then, and it doesn't work now. It's because people sometimes want some very nasty things. Instead, we are all called, then and now, to live according to God's moral law.
At this time, did they only take one wife?
No.
No? So they
Most men only took one wife. If they were particularly well off, they would often take a concubine or another wife. And if they're royalty, they'll take far too many. It all depended. It was a prestige thing mostly. It all depended on how many women the man could afford to take care of. That really was about the sum of it.
Because if they did have enough money, they were housing and taking care of women who had no other way of being taken care of. So in other words, it was kind of honorable.
In a sense, yes, but really, it's funny. I was reading an article in The Economist about this not so very long ago, talking about polygamy in modern society, because it's still around in the Middle East and in Asia, especially, funny enough, in places where there is anarchy. And where polygamy, and they said that polygamy and anarchy go hand in hand. Because once you get one man marrying many women, you get many men who have no women to marry, and who then have this strange tendency to go take up arms and start wars and steal cattle and try to earn enough money to buy women, and you get all kinds of crazy things going on in a society. So polygamy causes an incredible number of problems. Not to mention that it is incredibly it's degrading to the women involved. Thou shalt not commit adultery. But they didn't necessarily interpret that as forbidding polygamy. Considering the example of all their ancestors, they should have, and we do.
Again, they saw it the way they thought it was supposed to be instead of the way God wanted it.
Right, they saw it the way they wanted it to be. Hey, society does this. It seems to work. I can do this too.